All right, everybody, welcome to the TCG Gwent Weekly. This is week number 15. I'm your host, as always, ShoePlays, and I'm here tonight for you guys to cast the matches. We have a great gambit of matches to go through. We've got top 8, semis, and a finals match. Actually, one top 8, one semis, and the finals. So, a lot of great Gwent to get to. Let me just run through a little bit about the tournament. The tournament took place on June 13th, 2017. That is patch day. Yes, recently Gwent had their big balancing patch, kind of redoing a lot of cards and changing their power levels. So this tournament came the day of the patch. So that is going to be really exciting. The meta basically just got busted wide open with all the new changes and all that. So we are going to be seeing a lot of unique decks. A lot of different kind of unique ideas. There's nothing really to go off of. The patch is brand new. So definitely we'll be seeing whoever has kind of studied the patch beforehand and kind of theory crafted some good things. We'll definitely be seeing them probably do the best is what I would have to guess. Moving on, the tournament is going to be a Conquest best of 3 format, same as every week. You're going to have to win with 2 different leaders here. So you can bring any sorts of leaders you want. It's going to be blind picks. You have to win with 2 of them. So once you win with 1, they're eliminated. You have to move on to another deck. So I think we should, before we get into the first match here, we have on the screen top 8. It is Kachu and Peace Out 72. I think maybe we should run through a little bit what the meta has looked like in the week. Kind of a glimpse into the future as these games go on Tuesday, and it's Saturday now. So the meta has been heavily dominated by the prevalence of Skellige. Lots of people have been running Skellige. I think their frequency is probably the highest on the ladder. I would definitely bet that. A lot of money on that. And they've been actually performing really well. Skellige has great win rates across the board. A lot of people thought that monsters would be top tier coming out of the patch. They really saw a lot of different various buffs from the patch, and really not too much on the way of nerfs. A couple nerfs to some key cards, their leader Dagon. So a lot of people thought they would be mostly dominant coming out of the patch. And Skellige, receiving a lot of key nerfs to cards like the Brockbar Hunters, nerf to the Savage Bear. So a lot of people really were not guessing that would be good. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see too much Skellige in the tournament here, as again, it was the first day of the patch, and before the patch a lot of people were theorizing Skellige wouldn't be so good. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of monsters, not so much Skellige. The other factions kind of again in the middle. A lot of people thought Northern Realms would be really good with a lot of the buffs they got. And again, not so many key nerfs to them. A few key cards like the Reaver Hunters. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of them too. But anyway, we're going to go right ahead, dive into our top 8 match. First best of 3. We're going to be playing from the perspective of Kachu here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that. Alright, we are having some issues with the audio. I apologize for that. It looks like this game wasn't recorded with audio. We're going to see if we can go ahead and get that for you guys. But may not be possible due to the video we had. But anyway, starting out here on the mulligan, Kachu playing his Bruverhoog, it looks like Sky Tall, against the Bruverhoog Peace Out 72. Skytall, they receive some buffs to a certain archetype, notably the Mulligan archetype. Dwarves kind of saw, a few nerfs, so that'll definitely be interesting. We see an Elven War Dancer come down from the Mulligan from Peace Out 72 immediately, all geared following that up. Usually pretty indicative of dwarves coming out when you see that all geared there. They really like to abuse that carryover value as we see. So coming down now, Bruverhoog, turn 2. We'll see what sort of card gets pulled out by that. Usually dwarf players like playing high tempo with their leader. As you see that Sasuke getting pulled out. Barkley L's coming down now, pulling out the Mackim defender. So as you can see, a lot of points on the board already early for Peace Out 72, over 30 on turn 2. And Mumukachu is staring that down with a lonely Vrihad Dragoon coming down. 6 points, but gaining value as the round goes on. We see 3 Elven Mercenaries in the hand. He's going to start putting those to use now, pulling out 2 First Lights. So his hand is forced a bit there. We see a Dragoon come down now. Going to be gaining additional value throughout the round as it drags on. We see Peace Out 72 pressing the issue, playing down another Mahican defender. Usually dwarves, their strategy is to 2-0 you. They want to win the first round handily and take the second round with carryover value. Just overwhelming carryover value. Mumukachu gonna go ahead and look to put a stop to that, zapping one of those dwarves with the Alzur's Thunder pulled off the Elven Mercenaries. Anything you can do to deny those carryover values facing off against dwarves is imperative, I believe. Sultan Chevet coming down now, so we've seen 2 golds from Peace Out 72. Mumukachu only 1 in his hand. Is the very, very scary Villain Trent Mirth, aka Bork. But we see that Zoltan pulling his 3 ranged units, or excuse me, melee units back to the siege row, pulling out Roach. Again, another huge tempo swing. We already see Mumukachu down 40 points, still looking to press the round. He doesn't want to give the dwarves of Peace Out the advantage of carryover. And if you lose the first round, you have to win the second, obviously. So the carryover is a lot more painful compared to if you win the first, then you can just open past the second round and not be too worried about that. But we see the 3rd Dragoon coming down now. That is pretty good for him, getting those out early in the round. Like we said, dwarf players do like to push the issue. Make sure they lock up round 1 with a lot of carryover value. That's definitely going to help getting some value as the round almost certainly drags on. Trivial coming out now, in between those Dragoons, pulling back the Elven Mercenaries. We did see those on the range row, so they also get pulled back to the range row. Not next to the Trivial. We'll be denied a little bit of value on that, at least for now. If he can't get another unit next to that. Going over Peace Out, it looks like he's passing here. 34 value, but not quite with the Trivial coming down. Still a lot, 20 points of value on the board that Mumukachu has to overcome. He's even on cards right now, so he's going to want to get that done with as few cards used as possible. Try and keep pace with the card advantage of Peace Out, at least as best as he can. Card advantage always very important in Gwent. Just mulling over his options right now, seeing how he can best do it. Calculating the values, it looks like Untitled Chapter is his pick. Puts down the siege row. That fireball trap will be going off at the start of his opponent's turn. Or at the start of his next turn, excuse me. Hitting him 4 units. Still 1 point off of the victory. A lot of high value cards in hand. And it looks like he will go ahead and scorch that dwarf. Very good getting that off the board. Even though he did have to use an extra card, he did destroy that carryover value from Peace Out 72. And it looks like he will be rewarded for that, as he will only be facing the Olgierd going into the next round. Hovering over that there. So, round 2 getting underway. Peace Out 72 with a 2-card advantage. We don't see any way in Mumukachu's deck to overcome that card advantage, either with spies or something like a Siri. We do see over there on his deck tracker that Akvis is in the deck, but unfortunately does not draw that. Maybe looking to pull that out here with old Bruverhoob, saying Mackim was not built in a day, friend. But Akvis is here to help us get that done. Mulling over the options now. Peace Out 72. Looks like Dennis Cranmer coming down. Going to be buffing his dwarves for the rest of the game. Definitely good on that. We see a very, very powerful Brienne coming down now, representing 30-point swings if he can damage a target large enough to get that full value. he may just be interested in removing some of these pesky dwarves here, trying to minimize the carryover value that Peace Out 72 will be heading into the next round. We see Villain Trentonmer slam down now. An interesting choice considering just the raw power of the units in Moo Moo Kachu's hand. Also considering the power on the board, he is not too far behind, with 2 6 strength units falling behind Peace Out's 8 strength Dennis Cranmer and 7 strength Olgierd. So a little bit dangerous putting that Villain Trentonmer down, but he does see it as worth it. Going down to 2 now. He will try and pull a bronze unit out of his deck, Double Final Trapper, and here's what we mean. Damaging some units on the front row can make it dangerous for him. His own units may be getting torched here. We'll have to see what happens with this. 1 turn left on the Octus, 2 trigger off. Unless Peace Out can remove it this turn, it will be going off. Looks like he will be doing that with his Dwarven Skirmisher. That is definitely good for Peace Out, preventing Moo Moo Kachu from clawing back that card advantage. He's got 1 turn left on the board. He will have to play another card if he wants to see that trigger. He's staring down 3 points from the Mahakam Defender being carried over, as well as the Olgierd. And decides to pass here, figures he doesn't want to waste his valuable, powerful buffed cards just to get them scorched by the Villain Trentonmer. Not a bad decision there. He will go into the final round in a bit of a dangerous situation. Like we said, still down 2 cards. He will be going first, but staring down some carryover value as well. 8 points can almost be thought of as an extra card for Peace Out. But what he does have going for him is a very powerful array of cards in his hand. And speaking of powerful, Ithlinay coming out now, pulling out 2 Clear Skies. We're going to see what those will be pulling. We have a Mahakam Guard there, buffing the Mahakam Defender. One of the cards that were nerfed with the patch. Only buffing Dwarfs by 5 now instead of 4. Or 4 instead of 5, excuse me. Still quite worth it in the Dwarf deck. They still do get great value for a bronze, considering that it's not too difficult to hit them onto the Dwarves. And Moo Moo Kachu will have to decide when to use this Brienne in order to get maximum value out of her. Looking to toss back that Ethne, or Aglaeus, excuse me. Forgot the name of that card there for a second. Does not get any of his golds back from Johnny. And he will forfeit because of that. There is the match, ladies and gentlemen. Not quite sure what happened there with that Johnny, why it did not pull back any gold cards. Usually what Johnny will do is trade out a card in your hand for another card of the same rarity. Not quite sure why that didn't get done there. We may have to count that as a bug. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just give me 1 second here and I will try and see if we can get the audio going on this. But quite an exciting match, the Sky Tall Mirror, Bruverhoove. Dwarves, like we said, they only got some very minor nerfs there. Nothing too major in that regard. The Mahakam Guards only losing 1 point on their buffs. So not too bad for them. They are hit a little bit by the Roach change, as they like to use Saskian Roach pulled from the leader ability to get a very big tempo swing in the first few turns of the game. As we know, Dwarves, Mahakam Guards especially, are somewhat low tempo, so being able to keep up with that is definitely very good for the Dwarves. And I'm going to have to apologize here, but it looks like the video I was sent does not have any audio. So we will have to go ahead and bear with that. We will be sure to get that fixed later on as we cast more weeks. Anyway, starting up the match here, Moo Moo Kachu is down 1 game. Remember, it is a best of 3. Peace Out 72, his Brewerhoog would not be able to be selected. He's going to have to win with a different leader. So we're going to see what he wants to choose there. Very exciting. Again, this is the first day of the new patch, so it really could be anything for anyone knows. The meta is completely busted open at the time of this recording. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the next match. This is match number 2 of the best of 3, with Peace Out 72 up 1 over Mumukachu 0 games. Gonna hop right into that right now. Again, I do have to apologize. No audio on this recording here, but hopefully my soothing voice will help fill in the gap in your ears. Going into the mulligan now, we have another mirror match, this time between King Bran, who demands more mead here. We're going to see what these two are running. Going into the mulligan now, again, this is from the perspective of Mumukachu, throwing away those the Clan on Crate Raiders, throwing away that Skirmisher, excuse me. I'm a little rusty on the names tonight. Make sure we get those right. Turn 1, throwing down the War Longship, very good in the discard decks. Those can represent a lot of power with the Clan Demon Pirates, with the King Bran leader ability, with cards like Ermion. And Peace Out 72 is not going to want to let that get any value. Throwing down Fog turn 1 with his Gremist. Silver Mages are extremely valuable, so to see him throw that down turn 1 definitely means that he does not like those ships coming down. He wants to remove those as soon as possible. Operator coming down now, we'll see what gets tossed in the hand, and a Queen's Guard it looks like. So it looks like Peace Out 72 is running a Queen's Guard variant of the brand deck, as opposed to the more pure discard version that Mumukachu is running here. Mulling over his decision now, might have thought of playing Ermion there for a second. Reconsidering now, throws down Svanridge on the Fog row, wants to preserve his War Longship. Fog will damage the highest units, so he does want to protect that from that weather, get some more value out of that card. I do not blame him for that. That damage stacks up quickly. Unfortunately for him, the Shield Maidens are coming out now from Peace Out 72. Just an excellent card for Skellige. Unfortunately, does not get a second damage unit to proc that is on Mumukachu's side, so he will have to ding his own Operator to pull that third one out, which he definitely wants to do, get his deck thinned out a little bit. Make sure he can draw into his key golds and silvers. King Bran coming down now. We're going to take a peek into the deck a little bit. See some interesting card choices there. The Champion of Champion. Throws away his other Longship. Doesn't really want to see that now that he's used a lot of his discard abilities. King Bran and the Clan Demon Pirates, notably. 5 discards right there. Especially not as good in later rounds, as you want to get the discarding done early to start cycling through your deck. Peace Out 72 responding with his own leader ability here. Pulling out Orator, representing 5 points on the board in addition to the discard ability. We see Ermion come down, Mumukachu. Gonna toss away that Queen's Guard from his hand. Looking over what else he wants to discard. A lot of good cards in his hand right now. It's one of the great things about these discard decks is that they give you a ton of consistency in finding your golds and silvers. We know that Skellige does have some great golds to make use of, and some pretty good silvers as well, so definitely the more that you can find those, the better off you will be. We see that Pirate Captain getting pretty large into the hand already, 12 points. Most of the discard effects have been used, so we will probably see them capped at about 12. Peace Out 72 now going over his turn. He is ahead just slightly. Decides to go ahead and buff up his Queen's Guard in the graveyard. Looking to use those as a big finisher in round 3 to seal the game. Fog coming down on the ranged row for Peace Out 72. That is going to do a lot of damage next turn as all those units line up at 3. Unless he can block that with a unit or clear it, he's going to be hurting for the next couple of turns. Pulls out the Queen's Guard, now representing a big power swing, up over 20 points ahead of Mumu now. He's going to have to do a lot of work to claw that back. We do see some powerful swing cards in the hand. Igni can torch Peace Out 72 for 16 points now on those Queen's Guard. Coral as well can get a similar value on the melee row. Also has Holger if he wants to maybe do something a little more of a half step, which he does now on the Drake Bandu. It's an interesting that he damages the Drake Bandu there and removes that from the board. That should be setting off some alarm bells in Peace Out 72's head, you know. Why would he ping off a 4-strength unit when there's a 5-strength radar right at the top of the deck? Missing out on a little value on that. Spawns with a Savage Bear a bit late in the game now. Those cards are just usually better played turn 1 if they are going to be played in the round. But even this late in the game, they can still get some pretty good value for bronze. Being able to hit every single spawn unit that comes onto the board. So we will probably still see that doing some amount of work, especially if we see some revives coming out here from Mumukachu. Elects instead to go with that Pirate Captain, just inching the score ever closer. Fog going off, removing everything from that ranged row. And now all Peace Out 72 is left with is his melee row. We'll see how cautious he wants to be here. We see that Mumukachu is holding the Igni, is holding the Coral, 2 very powerful cards to swing. Peace Out 72, it's interesting to see if he makes the right read into that. We saw he got a little bit of a hint with that, with the Holger. And it looks like he is a little bit wary of something and will try and get out of this round. We'll try to force out another card from Mumukachu, the Fog, putting him ahead just enough to force out another card. Mumukachu decides he wants to throw away that Coral, values the Igni just a little bit more there, thinks he can get value out of it. And takes the round, once again, down 2 cards. But he does have a lot of very powerful effects in his hand. 2 revives, Hjalmar, Igni, and a 13-point Pirate Captain. Likes to toss away that Priest of Freya, looking for his spy probably, and he does pick up the Udalric. That's very good for him. Allows him to get back that card advantage. Pick and choose a little bit what he wants to draw from his deck. And he will take another Pirate Captain, again, an added effect, buffing up those cards a little bit with the Udalric. The card that you do not choose gets discarded. Very good for this discard archetype. We know that Peace Out 72 does have 3 Queen's Guards in his graveyard. 2 of them have been buffed up to 8 strength, I believe. Queen's Guard no longer having the veteran tag after the patch, but still very, very good if you can get them a couple buffs in your graveyard, still representing a lot of points on a res. We do see him highlighting over his graveyard now, probably just thumbing over what he wants. You can see that red outline from Peace Out 72 means he is looking through the graveyard, probably just deciding how exactly he wants to proceed. And Mumukachu decides to go ahead and throw out Hjalmar now. Now, I'm not sure if he's a little bit unconfident if he can get that buff off, or maybe if he's planning to Sigdrifa back into the Holger and finish off that Lord of Unvik. But it'll be interesting to see what line of play that he chooses to take here. Pushing round 2 against a Queen's Guard can be dangerous once you've won the first round. As you know, Queen's Guard, a lot of power in one turn, and the more cards, the less cards that you have in your hand going into a final round, the more power that you can get from one card, the more that matters. So, playing a little bit dangerous here, Mumukachu. We'll see how he wants to proceed. Thinking about Sigdrifa now, that he does have a ton of options in his graveyard for things to pull. Elects to go ahead and take that Holger Blackhand, killing off the Lord of Unvik, representing 5 strength there, and plus 10 from the Hjalmar, getting buffed by that unit being removed. Actually takes the lead now. We see a Holger on the reverse side, a lot of cards in the graveyard, not quite sure what gets buffed. I'm sure Peace Out 72 is hoping that the Queen's Guard did get a little beefier back in that graveyard. Clam Dim Pirate coming down now for Mumukachu will take 2 procs from those 2 bears. Those cards have already generated enough value for them to be worthwhile in the deck. Lugos coming down now, discarding a card from deck. Looks to be about 6 power, perhaps a 3rd Savage Bear, not really sure what that was. Keeping him close in this game, he is up 2 cards, remember, so it will definitely come down to the wire here. 12-point Pirate Captain coming down. And the Queen's Guard, there they are, ready to fight. And a quick pass coming down from Mumukachu. Does not want to mess around with those ladies. Looking very, very beefy there. And that will be the second round, ladies and gentlemen. Mumukachu going into it, 1 card down. Peace Out 72, having a very, very strong army of Queenies in his graveyard, ready to pull out at a moment's notice. I'm almost certain that he has some sort of revive in his hand, ready to pull those gals out. We can see here, he's again thumbing through his graveyard. Perhaps he's got Sigdrifa, perhaps he's got 2 Priests of Freya. Just thinking, what can he get the most power with? Pulls out the Savage Bear. He almost certainly has another revive for the Queen's Guards. Not quite sure if Mumukachu will be able to overcome that. Although he does have his own very strong skirmisher in the graveyard. That is 19 power in 1 play before the Savage Bear pings. Not exactly the same as a Queen's Guard, but a bit comparable. No target for that Igni now. Mumukachu will be very sad. Just hoping that Peace Out has like Shackles in his deck or something that can give him no value. But we guessed it. We were pretty sure. And there they are, the Queen's Guard, ready to fight. No good Queen's Guard player goes into that final round without bringing a Rabat. So that will be game 2, ladies and gentlemen. Forcing a round 3 is Peace Out 72. We're going to be seeing that right now. Very exciting game. Came down to the last few turns there in the 3rd round. You know, Mumukachu, it's very hard to deal with a lot of that carryover that the Queen's Guards do bring, especially when you're operator, you know, getting an extra Queen's Guard, especially when you are doing things like buffing them with Drake Bong Do. It just really represents a lot of power that you put into that 2nd and 3rd round that can be pulled out in 1 turn with 1 card. So very, very powerful effect there, and definitely tough to overcome. So we've seen 2 mirrors now, Brewer and Bran from Mumukachu and Peace Out 72. Mumukachu, his Brewer, has taken the first game. Peace Out 72 switched over to Bran, and he took the second game. So now we're going to see the opposite of the mirror, which is Bran versus Brewer. And we know that Mumukachu is running more of a traditional discard deck with his Bran. Peace Out 72, we've already seen Dwarves come down from the Brewer. I'm not really too familiar with this matchup, to be honest. It's not one that you've seen too frequently on our ladder before the patch, and even now after the patch, even though discard has gotten a few good buffs to make it a little bit better, still not something that you see too frequently. So I'm definitely excited to see how this plays out. Discard I actually like a lot, and Dwarves, again, are very, very strong in this meta. Can definitely 2-0 pretty much any deck, so very dangerous to watch out for. So we're going to be taking you into that final match. This is the top 8 round, Mumukachu versus Peace Out 72 for the top 8 win and advancing on. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And you'll have to excuse me here. It looks like we have actually missed some of that top 8. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Mumukachu, he did win the first one, didn't he? You'll have have to excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. This is a mistake on my part. Mumukachu actually lost the first round, so he was 2-0'd in that game by Peace Out 72. Very, very sorry about that. Alright, so that means that we are going to be moving on to actually the semifinals then. We already got kind of a sneak peek of that. It's going to be Mumukachu facing off against not Peace Out 72, but I will type the name out here. It is Weifelund. And here's how you spell that. Hopefully I don't mess that name up. Weifelund. So, a little bit of a mistake on my part. We're just going to keep moving through it. We are now on to the semis here. You'll have to excuse me, I do not have the bracket right in front of me. But again, that's a mistake that shouldn't be made. But we're going to be moving right through it onto the semis near. And it looks like Mumukachu will be participating in the semis. Going out there. Despite losing the top 8. So we're going to have to figure out how that got done. But anyway, moving on. So, Mumukachu now. We saw both of his decks, playing from his perspective in the last game. And he's facing off against Weifeland now. Now, the semis, it's going to get more competitive, more difficult. And we saw him saw the weaknesses there of Mumukachu's deck. Not really able to close out those games. He won the first round on both of those, but again, he was down a lot of cards. And Gwent card advantage is so big, so it's really kind of hard to claw that back if you're not running Spies, if you're not running Siri. Siri getting a big nerf in the patch as well. So Spies is now, after the patch, kind of the main way that people look to do that. But if you're not drawing your Spies, you know, if you're not getting those out there in a good advantage, then it can be difficult to claw that card advantage back. So we'll see if Mumukachu can overcome that in the semifinals here. Going up against Weifeland, we don't really know anything about his decks. Again, all these competitors queue into these matches blind, not knowing what the decks are. So we're kind of taking it again through the lens of Mumukachu, where we're not sure what he has, we're not sure what decks he's running, and we're going to kind of be surprised along with him. So without further ado, starting the semifinal match now. We're going to get it right, boys, don't worry. Here we go, into the semis. Mumukachu versus Weifeland. So we were kind of spoiled a bit. Weifeland running a Francesca deck, pretty much indicative of Mulligan, and it's kind of interesting to see this matchup as Mulligan is almost a mirror to the discard mechanic. You know, they share a lot of similarities. Their leader's abilities let you either mulligan or discard 3 cards. They've got units in the Pirate Captains and Vryhead Brigades that get buffed by either mulligan or a discard. You've got cards like Clan Divan Pirates, like Svanridge, that let you discard a card. Sky Tall, on the other hand, has officers that allow you to mulligan a card. And Warships and Neophytes kind of being similar to each other. So the two archetypes, although they are very different, mulligan obviously returning cards back to your deck, Skellige putting them into your graveyard, does share a lot of similarities, a lot of similar cards. So we'll see really which archetype reigns supreme here in the matchup. We see those War Dancers coming down even before turn 1, getting mulliganed away by Weifeland, and decides to pull out a Hawker Support here onto the back row, buffing up some cards in his hand. That's often very good, as you can get some good carryover value in those cards without really committing to the round too much. Worship coming down turn 1, and we see Weifeland pinging those off with his Dolphon Archer there. Again, those warships are a big threat, and we are going to usually be seeing those getting removed pretty quickly. Discard coming down from Bran now, pulling out that radar, discarding that, and 2 other cards. Francesca pulled out now, mirroring the play of Mumukachu. We see Saskia getting pulled out of the deck. Saskia is an excellent gold, basically giving additional tempo to any time that you use your leader ability. While getting some cards back into the deck. Not sure if Wifeland is running those neophytes or if he just has not found any yet. Those cards, along with the warships, are very good at kind of generating value while you're accomplishing the goals that you're already kind of set out to do with your deck. Armian comes down there, tossing away Alzur's Thunder. Hasn't seen any neophytes yet, so besides that, there's not really too many priority targets from the Mulligan archetype that you need to get rid of. Second archer coming out now, finishing off that warship. We see Champion of Champions here, and this is an interesting card. Champion of Champions can gain pretty immense value if the opponent is not running spies, if the opponent is not able to remove that with like an Alzur's Thunder or something when it comes down. And not only that, but you can revive the Champion of Champions with Sigdrifa, being able to pull out silver cards. So it's kind of very powerful, but very conditional that one, it does not get removed, and two, it doesn't get interrupted by any sorts of spies or anything like that. So we see here Mumukachu pulling the Skirmisher out of his graveyard. We saw that Wifeland had a big tempo turn there with the Alarin getting played onto the field, considering that there are 5 elves on the field. Looking to leverage that advantage now, passing. Doesn't really want the round to drag on, see that Champion of Champions grow. He will be getting 2 points a turn, considering that Wifeland cannot or has not chosen to deal with it. Mumukachu mulling over his options. He would like to get out of this round only using 1 card if that's possible. His hand is looking a little bit clunky for that. He would probably have to pull down something like a Sigdrifa or a Coral to take the round in 1 card due to the 10-point gap that is up now. Holger Blackhand could heal it, could tie it, excuse me. 5 points with 5 damage. We are seeing him play the Holger now, so it seems like that he is alright with tying it or using up another card to take the round. But, excuse me, the Champion of Champions growing. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Failfish for me on that play, forgetting about the Champion of Champions growing after I just was spouting off about it. But good play by Mumukachu. Those are the types of plays that will win you tournaments, win you rounds, and win you games. So good job for him on seeing that. Boo for me for missing it. But he will go taking that round. Only 1 card down. We see the spy in his hand. The Udalric being able to get back the card advantage. Instead, opting to just play out that War Longship, it looks like he wants to drag the round out a little bit. Murtzigabrak, only 5 damage there on that War Longship, not quite enough to get rid of it. So we will be seeing the Longship getting some value here from the Pirate. Decoy on that Murtzigabrak though is interesting, healing it back up to full after it is damaged by that War Longship, and again being able to finish it off with the 2/2 and 1 damage that Murtzigabrak does. Udalric coming down now for Mumukachu, deciding which card he likes to pick. Discarding that Pirate Captain there, drawing in Svanridge. Digs him deeper into his deck, looking to find those gold and silver cards like we said. Still has a Hjalmar and Grimace in his deck. Also, Priestess of Freya, not too bad. Wouldn't mind picking that up as well, I'm sure. Like we said, he's got those 2 skirmishers in the graveyard. Those cards get very, very big the longer they are in there between rounds. Or excuse me, every time they're sent to the graveyard, rather. Discarded Grimace doesn't really think he'll need the utility there. Pretty confident that this Mulligan deck is not running any sort of weather clear. Or weather, rather. Looks like Mumukachu is happy with his hand, will pass that over to Wifeland. Even on cards now. Mumukachu does have the advantage of going second in the round. So he's about a half card up, I like to consider that, when you go behind the other player. Picks up his Priest of Freya. We'll see if he wants to keep that or if he wants to possibly dig for his Hjalmar. Clan Pirate, also a good pickup. 14 points in a bronze. Can't really do much better than that. Sigdrifa coming down now, pulling out that Champion of Champions. Like we said, he is already scary as his strength is base strength. And now he will just continue to grow on that second row, unless Zoltan Chabet has something to say about that. Moving that and the Sigdriffer to the front will prevent that from growing any further. Good play by Weiflin to kind of stop that. With about 4 or 5 turns left, that would spiral out of control pretty quickly, make it difficult for him to regain this game. We see Geralt come down, 13-point gold, nothing to scoff at there. However, the Clandemon Pirates coming down 1 point better. But a Scorch coming down from Weiflin, torching both those pirates. And that is really the advantage of Geralt that you get there. Gold body, unable to be interacted with, as opposed to those Clandemon Pirates who just got torched. Brienne coming down now, and Mumu Kachu again has no target for the Geralt Igni, so that will be that. Ladies and gentlemen, Weifland takes the first game with an amazing Scorch in that third round, taking out 28 points of power from Mumu Kachu there, and he cannot be happy about that. His Clandemon Pirates just lined up perfectly, and that was it. We saw that Vanilla Geralt coming down now, which a lot of people think, okay, it's a starter card. It can't be good, right? But again, you just see that gold strength is extremely valuable in this game, in this meta, and that Geralt right there just goes to show you that. Whereas you compare it to these Clandemon Pirates that they have 1 more strength, Scorching, just like that, they're off the field. So Weiflin takes that first game. We make sure to get the games right this time. Keep on track with what's going on. So we're going to go into the second match here. Munkachu still has his Brandon Bruver, can also pull from other different factions if he wants. Weiflin winning with that Francesca will be eliminated. He'll have to move on to another deck, so we'll see what he wants to play there. We've seen kind of a rocky start for Mumu Kachu, 3 losses here. But hey, he is in the semis, so he had to have some wins as well as that. So hopefully he will be able to get on the board here in this series. We're going to go ahead and start up the next match, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is Game 2, Weifland and Mumu Kachu. Just looking to find the game here. And it looks like we're starting up now. Let me just put myself back on while we look for the game. You have to pardon my hiccups here. Alright, it looks like we have the game starting up now, and we will be getting that again. This is Game 2, Weifland and Mumu Kachu. Weifland now bringing the Dagon deck. Definitely still a lot of people's choice to be at the top of the meta. We saw that be very good before the patch. Sort of a foglet kind of weather Dagon being very good, as well as different token variants. And after the patch, Dagon really did not lose a lot. Minor buff to that leader ability there, minor nerf, excuse me, to the leader ability there from 726. Minor nerf on the Woodland Spirit there, losing a little bit of base power there. But Dagon still a very, very good choice for leader. Can do a lot of powerful things. Monsters, a lot of powerful cards. So we see turn 1 from Mumu Kachu pulling out that Elven Mercenary, pulling a Untitled Trapper out of his deck from first slate. Not quite what he wants to see turn 1 of the game. He'd really like to get some value from that Fireball Trap if Weiflin did choose to row stack like those Harpies there. But unfortunately pulls that out at the beginning of the game. Harpies now another unit that got a slight nerf going into the patch here. Down to 4 strength from 5. Mukachu decides to pull out another Elven Mercenary, finds another first slate, and again a Dalbathana Trapper there. Again, not quite ideal. He definitely can get a lot more value out of that later into the game, but he will take that now that the Harpy is down on the field. Cracking those eggs, kind of ruining a bit of the carryover for Weiflin, despite giving him a bit extra power into this round. We see those Dragoons come out now. Mukachu deciding not to deal with the weather from that Wild Hunt Hound. He will be taking 2 a turn from that if he leaves the weather untouched. And a quick pass from Weiflin pretty early in the match. Interesting to see. seemed like he had a good amount of things going for him down. The weather, he seemed to have stuck that. He also had a lot of good plays in his hand, 9 cards in hand. It looks like maybe he just did not want to let those Rawhead Dragoons get any sort of value in the game. As the first round drags on, those will be buffing cards in hand and really strengthening the additional rounds that Mumukachu will be going into. So decides to pass that over, maybe perhaps thinking that the card advantage will be more worthwhile for him in the future for Wifeland. Being up 2 cards, like we said, card advantage is huge in this game. Going into the between round mulligan here, decides to throw away to reveal Mumukachu. Interesting choice. We do see that Isengrim in hand, probably wants to pull it out with that. So makes sense. One thing to note here is that Mumukachu has no silvers in his deck. We do see him hover over that Johnny. That could maybe rectify the issue for him. But until he either mulligans or throws one of those back with Johnny, his leader ability is going to be dead. Just 4 points of power for him. Looks like he is not stressing it too badly now as he throws down that Hawker support, buffing up the brand in his hand. And Wifeland does not want to deal with that, says, get the hell out of here, Akvist. I need to kill that any way that I can, maintain my card advantage, and maintain my dominant position going into the last 2 rounds. Caranthir, a very good card there. Applying Frost to a row, moving 5 units to the row, can often get great value. You just kind of see the urgency that Wifeland has in destroying that Akvist by using that powerful Caranthir card on only 2 units, not really getting great value out of that. Mumukachu, instead of clearing the weather, decides to rally out that Elven Mercenary. Finds that Alzur's Thunder not really a good target for that there. Decides just to go ahead and ping off that Mercenary that he put on the board. Can't be ideal for him as he's looking to return those to his side with his ambush units in his deck. Mithril coming out now. Getting down 2 points of frost damage on that Akvist. If Mumukachu here does not respond to the weather, that Akvist will be dying before it returns to the hand. Actually, it would die on the turn it returns to the hand. Not quite sure the ordering on that, if the Akvist would go off first or the weather. I think actually the Akvist might go off first. Puts down Marin, trying to maybe lull Wifeland into possibly thinking it's a Teruvial or something. And it looks like he does somewhat trick him as he pings off that Harpy. Wifeland definitely wanted to get those eggs down, but not able to thanks to the Marin. And the Akvist does go off, so I was right. It looks like Mumukachu will be getting back some of that card advantage. It is a bit confusing, some of those end-of-turn interactions and how they work, but weather is last, as I believe, so anytime there's some sort of a start-turn counter or start-turn effect, it will almost certainly affect before the weather. Going into round 3, Mumukachu looking like he doesn't want to put that Akvist back in his deck, instead decides to do Johnny. Interesting to see what he will be pulling here. Puts back the Akvist and gets a White Frost from Wifeland's deck. Interesting choice in the Dagon. A lot of people I know prefer Skellige Storm, usually citing that I can get more value out of that, but I actually really do like the White Frost card. And as we see in the couple of days after the patch, White Frost has really picked up popularity in SK decks. So not a bad choice there to see that. Mumukachu decides to go ahead and throw that out on the melee and range row. Wifeland, not having any of that, decides to clear it off with Clear Skies right away. That White Frost can start racking up tons of value if left unchecked. Throws down another Earth Elemental here. Usually better to get those cards out turn 1, as they do give you carryover value as a good portion of their strength. Bork coming down now. We'll see how Wifeland decides to respond to that. Definitely do not see Bork very often in this sort of Skytall archetype, so I'm sure it's been catching people off guard. Isengrin coming down now, not pulling out any ambush card, as we see no ambushes in the deck. Coming in from the closed beta, a lot of the ambush cards got changed or removed, so definitely interesting to see that card be run. Mukachu decides to go ahead and Scorch here, doesn't want to throw down that Brayan, sacrificing that to the Villain Trent Mirth. He does have a 6 strength to reveal, but it is flipped over, so it is protected from that Villain Trent Mirth, who is going to be torching out both Earth Elementals here and the Wild Hunt Hound. A great power swing for Mumukachu. Those Earth Elementals do throw down quite a bit of carryover value, but definitely a welcome trade, I'm sure, to get rid of those, especially with the Thunderbolt potion being forced from Wifeland. But a round 3 Crones, and that will seal it. Ladies and gentlemen, Wifeland will take this game. Trivial flips over. Not enough with the Frost going off. 1 point shy. Very, very close, ladies and gentlemen. Holding on to those Crones for the last turn of the game was game winning there. And Wifeland takes that 2 games over Mumukachu. We just saw Mumukachu play in the top 8 match. Was unsuccessful there. And again, we saw it in the semis, Mumukachu getting 2-0'd again. So a bit difficult for Mumukachu there. We've seen 4 losses from him already. It looks like his decks are definitely very powerful, but just not quite panning out the way he wants them to. So we are going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, just a few minutes, and we are going to get going with the finals of this TCG Gwent Weekly Open number 15. Stick around. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here with the final match of our cast for the TCG eSports Gwent Weekly number 15. I do believe that we have some mix-up with the ordering of the matches. That's why we're seeing Mumu Kachu in these consecutive matches, even though I have them labeled as top 8 semis and finals. It doesn't really make sense. But we will check the bracket out for you guys next time and make sure we get that confirmed and make sure that will be kind of figured out before next week's cast. But anyway, going back into this, we have our final game here. It's going to be Mumu Kachu going up against Unexpected Robin. Let's go ahead and get those names on the screen. Sorry guys, we are having a little bit of difficulties with the production values this week, but we will be getting those better as the weeks go on. Like I said, it is kind of a work in progress for me doing these casts, but we will be getting those better as we go on. Just transitioning to a new kind of UI, getting that set up, and making sure that all looks good for you. But anyway, the final match, like I said, Mumu Kachu, we already saw his two decks, has the Brand, the Brewer Hoog. Again, going into this blind, we don't know what's going on from Unexpected Robin, what decks he might be bringing. But we're going to go ahead and find out. Like we said, it is the day of the patch when this tournament is taking place, so a lot of different new ideas, I'm sure, have been kind of sprout out in these contestants' minds as the meta is really kind of broken open with the patch. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this final match here, Mumu Kachu and Unexpected Robin. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, our final match of the night. Again, I have to apologize for the lack of sound. Like I said, as the weeks go on, the production value will be getting higher and higher. So I hope you guys can bear with us here and just look past some of the oversights and enjoy the Gwent, the good Gwent matches. Going to the mulligan here, Mumu Kachu, we see him making his choices with this discard Skellige. Throws away one of those pirate captains there. Usually would like to see those later into the game. Mulligans into a Clanon Crate Raider, not quite what he wanted to see. He does look to be wanting to discard that with King Bran, leader ability there. Get the +1 buff on that, but it's not really a disaster as he can just toss that away with Ermion, with a Udorix, something like that. Or Svanridge, excuse me. Turn 1 Oblock coming down now from Unexpected Robin, who is running Amir Van Voorhees. Quite an interesting leader to see with the addition of, or with the introduction of the open beta. Completely changed ability, pretty much a leader decoy. Very interesting ability. Not one that we've quite seen been utilized too well in the meta of the open beta, but I'm sure there's a great deck waiting to be discovered from him, because his leader ability is very good. We see two warships coming down early now, and an Ox comes down from Unexpected Robin. Locking those up says, I do not want to deal with those. Ox is an excellent card from Nilfgaard that survived some of those nerfs that Nilfgaard got hit with. Mukachu now just deciding he needs to get this King Brand down, then through his deck. Discard some of his key cards that he's using as his win condition, like those skirmishers. Tossing out the third First Light. His hand is a bit cumbersome. He's got two pirates in hand. One of those Clanon Crate Raiders there that he would like to discard with Bran. And other cards such as Holger. Champion of Champions is going to be a bit difficult to get value from. Nilfgaard can just throw spies onto the same row there. Block that from getting really too much value. So Unexpected Robin now pulling a Rot Tosser from his emissary there, pulling over which row he wants to put that on, and he decides to throw it onto the ranged row. Interesting to see why he doesn't just throw that onto the siege row, trying to get some more value out of that. Looks like he is in more of a hurry to get rid of the spies on the side, not quite sure why. Mumu Kachu just throwing down that pirate, discarding the last one from his deck. And Unexpected Robin now is running the Vikavaro Novice, which makes it just a bit more strange why he would want to get rid of those emissaries on Mumukachu's side. Even throwing an Ambassador onto the same row, sacrificing that to the Mighty Cow Carcass. Choose to buff up his Rot Tosser there. And a Blood Curdling Roar coming down now from Mumukachu, getting rid of that Cow Carcass. One of the best ways to do that. And luckily for Skellige, they have a Blood Curdling Roar on a stick with that Grimace there. Very, very good. All of the Silver Mages are very, very good in their respective faction. Unexpected Robin now, still with the lead, even on cards. See what he wants to go with here. Throws down the second Vikavaro Novice, thinning out his deck a little bit. Pulling out another one from that Emissary. Really good for him, thinning through his deck. Drawing into some of his more powerful cards. Getting those bronzes out of the deck. Pulls into an Impair Brigade, which is nicely staggered from the other Impair Brigade thanks to the Cow Carcass that was on the field. We see Igni in the hand of Mumukachu now, so he will probably be looking to even up all those strength on the front row somehow. Ambassador comes down on that brigade, getting Mumukachu some great value if he wants it. Decides he doesn't really want to take it, just wants to take the round, up 2 cards. And we see an Engineer coming down now on that brigade. We do know, however, that Mumukachu does have an answer waiting in hand for that card. We'll see if Unexpected Robin wants to maybe Amir onto that Combat Engineer. Maybe wants to bleed out Mumukachu, leveraging that 24-point advantage that he starts with. I'm sure he will be getting the bad news very, very soon, however. Looks like he doesn't elect to Amir that Combat Engineer before the end of the round. Plays out Cynthia now, revealing the Hjalmar, so 43 points up in 2 cards. 1 carried over from the previous round, 1 from hand. That is an insane amount of points right there. And we're kind of seeing the power of Nilfgaard here, able to just get out raw stats onto the board very, very quickly. Is down quite a bit of cards, so that will be kind of difficult for Unexpected Robin in the future, as he did take up an extra turn playing down that Combat Engineer. Speak of the devil here, and we do see the second Combat Engineer come down. Not quite sure what he wants to select with that. Elects to go ahead with the Cynthia instead. He does have Amir still. He can put Resilience onto that Impair Brigade up front, but for now just wants to play around any sort of Scorch effect, Igni, which we do see in the hand, funnily enough, from Mumukachu. So good play there by Unexpected Robin, kind of playing around some of the cards that can blow him out, putting the Resilience onto that Impair Brigade there. Mumukachu now, an interesting play, puts the Lord of Unvik on that range row, possibly trying to get that Cynthia to be over 20 power, rather not the Cynthia, but the ranged row to have over 20 power. Activate his Igni now. We see Unexpected Robin return that Lord of Unvik to the hand, doesn't want to deal with that. Unfortunately, still puts Amir onto the range row, making Mumukachu's Igni active here. We'll see if Mumukachu does want to go ahead and pull the trigger on that, or see if there's another Combat Engineer in the deck, in the hand of Unexpected Robin, rather. Ogre Blackhand, looks like Mumukachu is considering his options to get rid of this cow. Likes to go ahead with Holger, does so with some decent amount of tempo, 6 point, not to mention buffing a unit in his graveyard. Unexpected Robin now playing down another Impair Brigade as an 8-point bronze. We'll see if he has any more spies in his hand to get that buffed up. Those Impair Brigades are looking very beefy right now on the front row, especially that one to the left. Mumukachu now in a bit of a precarious position. He's staring down 77 points compared to his 37, down 40 points. We see a 19-point carryover on the field right now. He does have some options in the hand for removal. Alzur's Thunder, which he just burned on that Impair Brigade. Geralt Igni all the way to the right there. We'll be removing a ton of power for him. It'll be interesting to see if he can maneuver around what Unexpected Robin wants to do in order to get the most value out of his cards to retake the lead in this round, which he needs to win, while also dancing around some of the carryover value that Unexpected Robin does and may additionally have in his deck with those combat engineers. Emissary getting pulled now from Unexpected Robin. Mumukachu thumps through his graveyard, kind of planning out his next few turns. And I did not see what that got from the deck. I apologize for that. He may have not been able to pull anything, as he might not have had any bronzes left in his deck. I don't see anything on the board that looks different from before the round. Or before the turn, excuse me. A little bit unfortunate there for Unexpected Robin, not able to get any value out of his spy there. Just giving Mumukachu points on his board. He knows one of the cards in Unexpected Robin's hand is that Lord of Unvik. You can see there with the purple card back. The last card, anyone's guess at this point. And Mumukachu will have to guess his best if he wants to play this round optimally. Decides to just go ahead and res 15-point bear from his graveyard. Getting buffed up from that Holger Black hand, it looks like, the effect of that from removing the cow. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, a decoy on the combat engineer trying to get himself some additional carryover value on that Impair Brigade. He is in for a rude awakening now as Mumukachu slams down that Geralt Igni. Almost putting it on the wrong row there, the range row. We saw it hovering over that. But he quickly corrects himself, torches the melee row there, and 30 points of carryover value. Now we see Mumukachu with a massive card advantage at this point, 3 cards up in this round. But Unexpected Robin is carrying over a 19-point card, which is about 2 cards worth of value, depending on what the cards are exactly. But we'll say 2 cards value about. We do know the Lord of Unvik is in Unexpected Robin's hand, returned there with the Amir. He will almost certainly be mulliganing that away, trying to get some of his key cards. We have only seen 1 gold from Unexpected Robin, so 3 left in his deck. Mumukachu will just be tossing that Champion of Champion. Doesn't think he can get enough value out of that to be worth it. Playing down Svanridge now does get that right back. We'll go ahead and elect to toss that away. Buffing up his Pirate Captains just a bit more. We'll want to be careful how he puts that down. We see a Ragnarok coming down from Unexpected Robin, so that is one of his golds. Ragnarok during this patch did receive a bit of a nerf, now only does 2 damage to the highest unit on each row, as opposed from 3. Still an extremely powerful effect, especially when you've burned your clears with First Light. Mumukachu did have the option of reviving his Grimace there, as I believe that is in the graveyard. Yep, there it is. Elects instead to just row stack, try and get some minimal value, or minimal loss rather, from that Ragnarok, looking at it from Mumukachu's perspective. Not too bothered by that weather there. We'll see what Unexpected Robin has as his last play. And it looks like he'll just pass, so it couldn't have been anything too good there. hoping that Mumukachu just has some dead cards in his hand. Fortunately for Unexpected Robin, he does have an extremely beefy Pirate Captain, which gets slammed down, giving him the round, giving him the game. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be it. Mumukachu takes the first game over Unexpected Robin with the discard Skellige there. A very close game coming down to an Igni on a 30-point Impair Brigade. Unexpected Robin was feeling pretty good about that, I'm sure, getting that down as the last play in the second round. But Mumukachu did have the Igni in his deck to deal with that. Very good card. Definitely got a lot of value with Nilfgaard Skellige, a lot of very large units running around before the patch. After the patch, to be seen really, but he thought it was definitely good enough to include. And Geralt Igni is, again, just kind of one of those staple neutral gold cards that really can find value in almost any meta, just due to the sheer power that it can bring in that regard. But Mumukachu takes that game. Alright, finally gets a win on the board for him. Good to see for him. Again, these games are a bit out of order. We have to apologize for that. But we will be going into the second game here. Mumukachu, again, we saw that he won with that brand, so his last deck will be the Brewer. We've seen that before. Kind of an ambush Sky Tall, as opposed to Dwarves, which is really typical to be run with Brewer. Unexpected Robin, he could switch decks if he want. We did see that Emir deck. Looked very interesting. We'll see if he has some faith in that. It looks like his deck was kind of focused on the carryover value with the combat engineers, which is not a bad strategy to have. We saw there he had 49 points of carryover value in that second round. Just ran into the brick wall that is Geralt Igni. So we'll see if Unexpected Robin can get some of that carryover to actually stick this game. Let's hop into it. Game 2 of our final match here for the cast. We see Unexpected Robin here having faith in his Emir, even though he took a tough loss in that second game. Queuing up into it again. Mumukachu, like we said, using the Brewer Hoog, the ambush deck with the Isengrim there. It's interesting to see him bring this, as ambush really didn't get too many tools with the patch. None of their keycards really got buffed. In fact, some of their keycards even got nerfed in Iflane, which definitely is very powerful in Skytall, and Roach not pulling out, so a little bit worse to run since you can't really get tempo from that by using Brewer. But Mumukachu is confident in the ambush archetype here that he's playing, so we'll see how that does. Dragoon comes down now, turn 1. We see 2 of those in hand for Mumukachu. Is going to want to get those going early. The longer the round drags on, the longer those are on the field, the more value they rack up over time. We see an early Emissary from Unexpected Robin. Again, Nilfgaard really focuses on thinning their deck with those spies, with those Vikavaro novices. We see the Rod Tosser on the back row. Could be a bit problematic for Mumukachu. He does want to get that second Dragoon down as soon as possible, but he will just be sacrificing that to the cow there. Elects instead to dig in his deck for some spells and finds a nice Alzur's Thunder, which will clean up that cow beautifully, allowing him to get out his second Dragoon if he so chooses. Second Emissary coming down now for Unexpected Robin. Pulls out an Ambassador there. We see the Scorch in hand for Mumukachu again. Unexpected Robin wisely decides to kind of spread out those buffs. It's definitely very bad if you try and put all those on one unit. You open yourself up to things like Igni, you open yourself up to things like Scorch, resets. Definitely not what you want to be doing there. But very wisely avoids that. We see a 12 strength Imperator Brigade coming down now. Nicely staggered again thanks to the cow carcass, buffing up to 1. Mumukachu just thinning his deck now, finding out some spells. That's 2 thinning that he gets, 1 from the Elven Merc pulling the spell, and another from the First Light pulling out the unit there. So getting through his deck pretty efficiently here at this point. Pulls out the Dragoon. Nice to see on the first round. Somewhat early in the round, still about only halfway through. 7 cards left in hand. Will be racking up value on his Brienne. Definitely the card that you want to see getting buffed up. We see Amir coming down now, returning that Elven Mercenary back to his hand. Very interesting. We'll see if he elects to play that again immediately, and he does throw that back onto Mumukachu's side. We don't see any spells pulled from that, though. A bit of a hiccup there from Unexpected Robin. Kind of forgetting what is in his deck there, it seems. And we see a huge Scorch coming down from Mumukachu, getting rid of those 2 units, 16 points apiece. Beautifully lined up for him, and that is going to hurt from Unexpected Robin now. He's hoping that this Ragnarok can't get some value from him. He has seen a good amount of mercs, in fact, all 3 of those Elven Mercenaries. Or 2 rather, excuse me, and he saw 1 First Light as well, so some of the avenues that Mumukachu did have to kind of clear that weather or find clears for that weather have been exhausted at this point. Luckily for Mumukachu, though, after this Emissary bites the dust from the next round of Ragnarok, he will have all of his units stacked up on a row, which is what you want to see when facing that Ragnarok. Pulls the Elven Mercenary back over with that to reveal, but that's fine. It will die to the Ragnarok, but it is subtracting those 2 points from Unexpected Robin's side. He is putting Resilience down on the Imperial Brigade here. Only 14 strength. Not in range of Igni or anything like that. We do see a Glace in the hand of Mumukachu, but I don't believe we've seen any spells from the Emir. And I don't believe we will, as we saw him playing that Elven Merc did not give him any spells from his deck. A pass by Mumukachu here, and this is a bit tricky for Unexpected Robin. He's only 4 points down. He knows he has the Ragnarok going, but there is an ambush card on the field that has not been flipped yet. Decides to go ahead and take the pass here. I think he could have ruled out Maren for that, as his combat engineer does not get pinged off on arrival into the field. But Sapper might have still been a possibility there. But correctly guesses that he can overcome, or chooses that he doesn't want to overcome, and passes that round away. He still has a good amount of carryover value, 14 points now on that Imperial Brigade, giving him an advantage in this round, despite being down a card. We'll see if Unexpected Robin can recover from that. Like we said, card advantage very key in this game. Just can't harp on that enough. Card advantage is just extremely important. Mumukachu now just looking to give up the round. Knows that Unexpected Robin does have engineers in his deck, lots of carryover value. Doesn't really want to give him the opportunity to use those for free in the round here. So decides to just pass right away. Unexpected Robin does elect to use that combat engineer rather than just mulligan it away. Possibly has other things that he would rather mulligan in his hand. So now into the final round, Mumukachu up 2 cards, Unexpected Robin with 14 points on the field for free from that previous round. You see the mulligans come down here, and Unexpected Robin will act first, so definitely deep in the hole in terms of number of cards goes. But he still definitely has a lot of strength that he can play, as we see a 14-point Avlok come out with the Roach, drawing him 2 cards. Mumukachu now a lot of options after drawing with the Avlok. Thinking of possibly getting that Akvist onto the field. Wants to keep leveraging that card advantage that he has, while also getting some chip damage in with the effect of that Akvist, dealing 1 damage to all units on his enemy side of the board. Unexpected Robin, rightfully so, not wanting to deal with that Ocfist. We often see people go through extreme lengths to remove that card, and the Rot Tosser is definitely one of the more standard ways to try and get rid of that from the Nilfgaardian Empire. Mimikyu now 2 turns to deal with that Rotting Cow Carcass as it flies through the air towards his Ocfist. Decides to go ahead and Brewer for nothing. We've seen Mimikyu get into these situations before where Brewer is a little awkward because he's drawn all his silvers. Kind of a first word problem there, too many silver cards in your hands. Wish I had more bronzes, but Mimikyu will deal with that. We now see a 26-point Cynthia come down onto the field, buffed up from that Joaquin, buffed up from that 12-point Meren, giving Unexpected Robin again a little bit of information about what is in the hand of Mimikyu. Cynthia is definitely a great card. Love what they did with that rework into open beta. Very interesting effect that opens up a lot of unique gameplay opportunities. We see Johnny thrown down now, returning that Aglaze to hand. And we don't see him receive any card for that. A bit unfortunate there. So it looks like Johnny only pulls from the opponent's deck, so that means that Unexpected Robin has no more golds left in his deck. We could assume that the only place that his last 2 cards can be is in his hand, obviously. So Mimikyu, a bit disappointed, does not get any value out of that Johnny. Glace, despite not being able to hit any spells, still just a 10-point gold. Definitely nothing to scoff at here. Mimikyu now looking at a huge deficit, over 50 points. I would not count him out yet, as he has a lot of ways to get that back. We see the Villain Trentmirth in hand, waiting to torch these units. We see the Garrow Igni, and Meren comes down, sniping that Vikavaro Novice, getting no value from that, basically wasting card for Unexpected Robin. And that's very good use there of Meren, basically sniping these cards that have deploy abilities before they can get that off. Basically negating the turn there from your opponent. Aqua Support now buffing up that Brayan, 14 points. Represents some huge value there. He does have the targets where he can get maximum value for that. Novices coming down now. On that Emissary, 1 bronze left in deck. We'll see what it is. Ambassador, buffing up his units even more, giving Villain Trentmirth some delicious targets to scorch away with his effect. It looks like Mimikyu here is set up to take this game with those scorch effects in his hand, removing all the power from the opponent's side. Unexpected Robin did do a nice job of staggering his units as best he can, but unfortunately just not enough, as the Bork will be torching 2 of the units and the Igni an additional 1. Elects to go with Kahir here. Remember, the leader ability is a mirror. Returns the Cynthia to hand. Not really much that could have given him better value. Maybe the Rot Tosser would have been interesting, just torching some value from Mimikyu, but instead decides just to see what is in the hand. Does reveal that Brayan now. Mimikyu wants to make sure he doesn't mess this up. Victory is within his grasp here. We see the Trapper drawn from that first light, deciding what he wants to destroy with that, where he wants to throw that Fireball trap. Back row looks like a good spot to me, and he agrees as well, throwing that down there. 1 card left from Unexpected Robin. He does have a huge lead at this point, but we know that a lot of his value is getting torched by that Villain Trentmirth, by the Brienne in hand, by the Igni. We'll see if he can pull out a miracle here. We did see from the Johnny that the last card is a gold, I believe. There it is now, an Igni of his own. No targets for that, unfortunately. 1 point short on the melee row. And he is going to see what Igni can do now from Mimikyu. Deciding where to put that It really doesn't matter. Just needs to get rid of those points on the board, and Mumukachu will be paving his way to victory with that Villain Trentmirth, taking out 30 points worth of power now with that Scorch effect. Actually hits his own Maren, but you know what? That is fine. Plenty of points at this point. Oh, excuse me. Actually, the Cow Carcass on the last row. Not paying close enough attention there, Shue, but that's alright. It is more than enough for Mumukachu, and he will take that the final game, winning that series 2-0 over Unexpected Robin, and a great series that was. Ladies and gentlemen, that was it. The last game of the night. We saw some great matches there. A lot of interesting decks. We saw a lot of mirror matches there in that first set. Brewer and Bran. Some of the different ways that you can build those two decks, despite the fact that it was the same leaders. We did see a lot of the different flavorings that you can get with those two leaders. We also saw Mulligan, which got a nice couple of buffs in that second series, the semis for us. Definitely pulling out a very strong win there. And Dagon as well, which a lot of people correctly thought would still be a very good contender for top leader in the game after the patch. And Dagon is still going strong there. So we had some great matches. Thank you, Mumukachu, for recording that. We got to see his perspective through some great games. The order might have been messed up a little bit, I think, but we'll be getting that corrected for the cast next week. Just want to thank everyone out there for watching the cast. Would like to apologize for some of the technical difficulties we have, some of the production value issues. We're still kind of getting a lot of that ironed out. You can see we have a new nice little UI here, and we're going to be rolling out continuous improvements over the weeks. Again, this is kind of my first time doing this, new to casting, new to kind of producing these sorts of casts for you guys. But definitely we'll be improving that over the week. I think you can already tell next week, this week compared to last week, you know, some of the production values are a little bit different, a little bit trying some new things out. So please bear in mind with us. That'll be getting better over the next couple weeks as we do more casts. I want to do a shout out to Lionhawk, getting these videos downloaded, sent over to me. Again, thanks for letting me cast. Thanks for putting on these tournaments. If you guys want to check out the TCG Battle Fee page where they have their weekly tournaments for Gwent and other games. That is all that I have to say for now. I'm your caster, ShoePlays. Please consider following the channel. Every Saturday at 10 p.m. we will be doing these casts, and we're going to have some great Gwent matches now. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.